Hi, it's Natalie Whelan from CPD Interactive, and I'm here in Las Vegas with my colleague Danielle Siegel, attending one of the biggest online conferences in the world. There's about 3,000 people here, and one of the surprising things is there's quite a lot of law societies and law firms attending, so that's been really interesting. In fact, today I sat next to the person in charge of CPD, or CLE as they call it, from Louisiana, the practice board. And her and I had a great discussion, and they're delivering a lot of video, but like we feel video is great but needs to be really interactive to make it a good experience. So what I'm going to do, I've been here for 2 days, and I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview of some of the things that I've been learning. So one of the first things today was by a lecturer by the name of Dr. Art Conn, who specialises in learning behaviours, so a lot like what Belinda will be talking to you at the conference. And the thing he was talking about is training is not just about knowledge, it's really about changing behaviour. So he was talking about how do you make behaviour stick, how do you make people change their behaviour. And he gave a good example. He said after training sessions, about 2 days after the session, it's not a bad idea to send them via email or voicemail or whatever device you use in your organisation 2 fact-based questions. So 2 questions that have an answer. He said even though it's only picking out a tiny amount of what the course was about, it does something to your brain and triggers remembering the entire experience. Then about 2 weeks later, send a more explorative question, an open-ended question that talks about their feelings towards it or what they gained from it. And then 2 months later, contact them about how they've applied it. So that was an interesting, he was saying it's like tricking the brain into remembering this stuff. The next session I went to was on immersive learning. And what is that? Well, it's about creating a place to practice. It can be role plays, board games, scenarios. And she raised the question, where do you want your lawyers to practice? In an immersive simulated world or with clients? So that was a really good concept. She said you've got to create places that people can practice. So that lends itself to not just online, all kinds of different places, but that could be a virtual world, it could be a game, it could be a role play in your own organisation. But the important component, she said, is don't keep testing, let people practice and then maybe do the testing in a different space. Another thing in relation to learning, she said, a true learning environment is where one fails. So if somebody can go through a whole learning experience and just pass every hurdle, it wasn't complicated enough. It hasn't pushed them and they haven't learnt anything new. Before building an immersive learning world, she said you have to really understand the world that the people work in. So the things she spoke about is you've got to say a number of things. You've got to analyse who says it's a problem. So why is the organisation wanting the training in the first place? Can it be measured? What does it look like when things go right? So where are you trying to take them? Where are the places that it can break down? And why aren't people doing it now? So that was just a really good, interesting thing, because that's the behaviour thing again. A lot of times people say, but we've shown them so many times and they're not doing it. So that goes back to that piece about reinforcing it afterwards. She spoke about games can be a great way to learn. I'm a little sceptical in relation to lawyers. I don't know that they like that space. I think it can be a bit too fantasy based, but it's just something to be aware of. Stories are critical when training. So she said you might want to create online scenarios. One of the important things is, she said, really develop your characters well, because the advantage of stories is our memory associates the story with the learning experience. So your lead characters have to be memorable and relatable. And then the last thing, everything in relation to training, all training must have feedback. People have to know how they've gone, whether it's online or in a live situation. So work really hard on the feedback and make sure you motivate and reinforce what behaviours you want from them, and really ignore the other behaviours. We don't need to hear we were wrong, we need to hear well done when we got it right. So that's sort of been the theme. And the buzz around here is all the different softwares, and we'll be going to a demonstration of all the different companies tomorrow to see their different products. But I just want to say hi, give you some of the hints and tips, and I hope you all have a fantastic time at CLIA, and don't forget to stop in at our booth and say hi to Liz. Thanks a lot.